Encarta.
I remember citing those things was so difficult.
It was. They didn't really have like an example of it. There wasn't a, wow, we're really talking about how to cite your sources from a CD-ROM.
Yeah.
We're making grade A content here.
So to cite your internet sources, you guys, here's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, no. I think we've jumped the shark.
Welcome to Scary Mystery Surprise,
where we talk about scary things that surprised us around the internet.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Michelle.
For people who may not know, I used to work a lot with internet stuff and websites and blogs, and I used to make memes. I actually took a picture of a couple of things that I found the other day as I was cleaning my room, of old boxes and stuff, of me drawing the pre-meme.
Aww. Little Edwin drawing a pre-meme. That's so cute.
A pre-meme. It was like I would draw them, take a picture of them, then fix them up, and then they would look like hand-drawn. How do you say GIFs? GIFs or GIFs? GIFs. Okay, GIFs. And people would share them around. Tumblr was amazing for it. Stumble Upon was amazing for it. It was like this whole culture. People would steal your stuff, and you would be like, hey, give me a link for that. And you would rank because back then it was so easy to take the number one spot. Then everything changed. But now I think things around the internet, they hide a lot of things in plain sight. So they're still there. But along those things were these super creepy, just either images, videos, games, and stories.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited for this throwback.
I've been noticing that around Instagram and TikTok, there's a ton of, let me tell you about this fact. Let me tell you about this scary thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I came up with a list of, there's some of my favorites in there and some other stuff that I found. So right now I'm going to give you the official Scary Mystery Surprise Top 10 Early Internet Scary Legends of All Time of 2023. Here we go.
Do you have any more things to add there?
Of the week. So there are quite a few here, and they're ranked in what I find the most interesting. Beware, though. Some of these get really dark. I want to throw it out there.
Ooh.
If you're sensitive to topics like suicide, mutilation, don't get graphic with it at all, because that's not I don't like that. But it did traumatize me as a kid.
Also, depending on, you don't get graphic with it, but I might get graphic with sound effects later. So I guess you've been warned.
Now remember, these are just internet legends, right? So take them for what they are, legends. There's no confirmation that they're true or that they're not true. So I'm just going to give you the list, and then we'll see if you agree with the way that I rank these. Starting with number 10. Polybius, the game that never was. In Portland, Oregon, the government started running a psychology experiment through an arcade game. The game was called Polybius, and it started showing up in several suburbs of Portland.
I remember this. Oh my God, why? What? God, keep going. That's so weird. It's unlocking a core memory.
People started going crazy for this game. A whole commotion of people were fighting for not being able to play it when it was their turn. They just couldn't get enough of it. But they say that men in black would sometimes be monitoring the game from out of the corner, just hiding there, talking into their sleeves and their radios or whatever. Those who played the game would suffer through several side effects, including seizures, amnesia, night terrors, and hallucinations. However, after only just 1 month, the game disappeared and was never seen again. But still, internet legend, creep me out. Maybe there is a government conspiracy.
There's a lot of them.
Number 9. The Russian sleep experiment. Now, this one we've probably talked about, or other people have talked about, and they know all about it. This is a creepypasta. Basically, it's copy-pasted story. I mean, that's where it comes from. Creepypasta came from that.
It took me forever to understand that.
And that used to it used to get shared around the internet back in the day. And if you didn't share it, we all know what would happen. A creepy cursed or something would appear. Somebody in your family would die. Something happened. I would never share it. I always risked it because I know how annoying it was to get spammed back then with those chain emails, which thank God I don't get them anymore from people that I know.
Think about it. Like, they used to be, everybody used to send those all the time. And then now no one sends them. And now if you get junk mail, it's not a creepy story. It's like somebody pretending to need money in Nigeria or something.
Pretending to want to send you a large transfer.
Oh, you've won the lotto, but you need to send me your bank account number first.
This story talks about 5 test subjects that were part of an experiment about what happens when you don't sleep, which supposedly took place during the Soviet era. They were sealed in a gas chamber that would pump gas that would keep them awake, and they were under constant observation. About a week in, they started acting strange, and their conversations would start getting darker. And as the days went on, they started to tear off sections of their own skin and muscles and pull out their organs. They did not want the gas to stop, like they wanted it on. They didn't know it, but scientists noticed that if the subjects would fall asleep, they would die. Eventually, should I spoil it? Yeah. They all died. I really think people should read this story or at least get a summary of it, like a full story. It creeped me out when I read it. Number 8. The story of Lisa. Now, this one's creepy, all right? So,
honestly, I'm already creeped out by just the name.
Amy was a little girl who kept a diary and used to like to draw. Typical little kid stuff, along with the normal demonic imaginary friend that everyone had at one point. And its name was Lisa. And she would write about her, like document her days and stuff. Amy one day takes her friend to school, like her demonic imaginary friend, Lisa. But when she shows up to class, she's like, here she is, her name is Lisa, blah, blah, blah. The teacher's like, stop joking around, this was a serious thing, or something like that. And she calls the dad and says, hey, your kid is acting weird, or whatever. She gets in trouble, like she documents the whole thing, it's a diary style. She documents the whole thing, and eventually she gets in trouble because she went out at night, like in the dark. And she was like, just went out on a walk with Lisa. Right? By the way, she's a little girl, so she shouldn't be out there. So her dad is pissed, and Lisa is fake. Get over it. So Amy then talks about her substitute teacher in her diary, because her teacher hasn't shown up in a few days. And then her dad hasn't come back in 2 days. So that's weird. And that's what she's documenting. But Lisa, fortunately, says that it's all right. That now her teacher and her father are sleeping just like Lisa's daddy. Basically, they're dead.
You know, in a way they deserved it, because what was Lisa doing to really bother anybody?
Nothing.
They were just being jerks. So,
yeah.
Moral of that story, don't mess with imaginary friends.
Anyway, number 7. The Rake. In the summer of 2003, in the northeastern United States, several events started hinting that a human-like creature was roaming around at night, where witnesses, mostly around rural New York State, claimed to have seen it. And it all peaked when an image was found, and you've probably seen it. Have you seen the image?
I don't know. What am I looking at?
That's the Rake. It's like a cryptid, humanoid, human-like thing. It looks like it's crawling, but it looks like it can stand up. Oh, okay. I saw some other artistic depictions of it. You're not going to like this.
I hate that so much. There's something about the knees bending the wrong way that really just gets you.
Imagine, for me, I don't like it when people crack their knuckles. Not that I don't like it. I get chills and weird It just...
It's like it's cracking its knuckles every time but it's its knees.
Oh, I'm getting like chills right now in my hands.
I'm just assuming that's what it sounds like when it's walking.
I imagine it like walking like a spider, like it can walk sideways like a crab. Number 6. Ted the Caver. It was a blog. This was probably the very first internet legend that was categorized as a creepypasta ever. Like the first, like when you try to really historically go back. This one is about this guy who explores caves. These people are called cavers. Now, I don't know why anybody would want to explore caves.
In fact, it'd be my nightmare.
They said that there's this really interesting feeling you get when you step into a cave that no one has stepped in millions of years. So these people like going underground and being by themselves in the dark and just...
No thanks.
This guy eventually finds a series of caves that leads him and a partner on an adventure and is trying to discover the source of these strange sounds and wind that he can hear from this hole about the size of, maybe not quite like size of a head, but a little bit smaller. But they can tell, if you shine a light through it, that there's more to it. There's another side. It's just like a little tunnel. So they try to like drill through it and get to it, and eventually they do. And what they find on the other side is like nightmarish. Like when you're first reading about it, you're like, oh my God, what happened? Especially considering that they say, oh yeah, we finally got our crew together again. We're going to go investigate. I will update this website as soon as we come back to give you guys the results. And that's where it ends. But the actual story of it, they explain what they found, like what the experiences were. They took a video camera. They actually have pictures of stuff. Like they went to caves to take pictures of themselves there and stuff. And it looks so real that people thought it was real. There's this interview, actually, this one guy who's really into creepypasta and trying to keep the history of it alive. His name is Nick Boddick. And he interviewed the writer of Ted the Caver. He explains a lot of it in there. That's how deep like I go into this stuff, where I'm like, wow, I want to know who wrote this and what was their inspiration.
Did they talk about what he saw?
Up to a certain point, it's fake. Like basically, he goes, he finds a cave, this is real, he says where it is and everything. And in the story, what he says he saw, it's like he crawls in like barely. This is after like months of trying to get to it, by the way. They're just scratching, they're trying to carve their way in there, right? And when he goes in, he's like, wow, I found this really cool thing. But he sees this weird egg-shaped stone. And he's like, why does it sound like something's grinding? Like, what is that sound? And he keeps going. He finds like drawings on rocks. And he keeps going. And eventually he hears a sound. And he's like, all right, there's something in here. So he runs back or whatever. Then he goes in a second time with another friend goes in there. And he refuses to go back, and he's just so panicked that he doesn't even want to talk about it. He's just, nope, not going to do it. And eventually, for, I don't know, the third time, Ted the Caver goes in for himself, and strange things happen. Like the cord where he could communicate with the person on the outside gets cut off. He starts smelling this weird smell, and as they're escaping, like they're going up this rope, they're climbing back up, and they finally make it to the top. They feel like something's pulling on and climbing up, so they cut the rope, and then they hear a thud or whatever, and that's where they said that's when they leave it alone for a while. And then that's when they said we should probably go explore it again, because he was feeling so weird and out of it. Him and the other person that saw the thing, they meet up at the same spot, like they're just there to think about it from this urge to be there. And then they're like, we should go back again. And that's when he makes the post, oh yeah, we're going to go back again. And that's when there's no updates. I just told you the whole story. Damn it.
No, that's good, because I would have never looked it up.
So at one point, it turns into a fake thing. But back then, nobody knew about it. And a lot of people wanted to take credit for writing that story because it was an anonymous writer at the time, but it took a while for him to defend that it was his work and everything, and it was settled. So it was that one guy who wrote it, and yeah, it's very interesting. But it was the first one that actually can be said that this is a creepypasta story. And then other times people come together to make up a creepypasta, and that happened with number 5. Slender Man.
Ah, I knew Slender Man would make the list.
Yep, this one came out in 2009. From what I heard, it was a contest to come up with make up a creepy monster or a creepy creature. And it's about this creature who's really tall, like unnaturally tall, thin, and wears a black suit. It's known for abducting, stalking, and traumatizing children. Well, along with the booming social media era, like really started rolling because it was... People would record themselves running like from nothing in the woods. So they would yeah, so a lot of kids were recording themselves running away. Oh my God, it's Slender Man. They would just run. There was this story that came out that this is why it became a little bit more newsworthy, which is really sad. But basically, this group of little girls said that they were going to go to Slenderman's mansion at one point. I don't know if you know about this, Michelle.
I think I've heard it before, but tell me more. Because there's also a Criminal Minds episode, so I might get the real story, because I know there's a real story, but then Criminal Minds did an episode of it, so I don't know which.
Okay, in this one, there's a group of 3 friends. Actually, 2 of them were friends. The other one was like an extra. A group of 3 friends that were somebody's left out. They want to have a sleepover because of it's somebody's birthday. And they go and they plan, oh yeah, we're going to go find Slender Man. But really, in their minds, they're like, we need to kill this other person. So they hide a knife. They go out to a park during the day. And then they start stabbing one of their friends, one of those girls. It's disturbing, especially because they're young.
I vaguely remember, and were they doing it because they thought Slender Man was real or something like that? Like they could get to his house if they killed their friend or something like that? Yeah,
something like that. I mean, the girl survived. Nobody died. As in, she was probably bleeding, like about to bleed out or something. But eventually she was found by a cyclist. And the girls were charged for trying to kill somebody.
Yeah. And if you created Slender Man and something like that happened, that would be tough. Like, I understand, like, creating lore, whatever, Ted the Caver.
Yep.
Those are modern myths that you're talking about. That's where a lot of modern folklore is getting created, is on the internet and creepypastas. And I totally understand being a part of that, but it would be very tough to all of a sudden have your creepypasta folklore come to life.
Like that, yeah.
Some very troubled kids.
Yeah, and I think about it too, not that I have any stories that have gone super viral or anything, but I always think of it like, because I used to get questions a lot about some stories, and they used to be like, hey, could you tell me what this website is? And I used to respond like, oh, this website, it's not real. The story was fiction, whatever. They would never respond. But it was like, the fact that they believed it, to me was like, it's cool because you believe it. But then imagine there was something more sinister with it, where like you have to cut off a finger in order to do this. And that's why you got to be careful, but at the same time, like, just don't cut off your finger, man.
Yeah, don't stab your friend. Yeah, there was some failing on the parents' part, and the fact that they didn't catch this delusion or mental illness, for sure. But yeah, it would be really hard to still be the author of that story and have something like that happen.
Number 4. Now this one, warning here, okay? Warning. This is, I don't get into details, but it's heavy stuff. Squidward's suicide.
What? Wait. From SpongeBob?
Correct.
What?
Yeah.
Squidward died?
So, I don't know if we have any SpongeBob fans in here. Okay.
What? I'm still in shock. I'm in shock.
But supposedly there's a lost episode, or a version of an episode that was never aired. It's like an unpublished episode that an intern at Nickelodeon found out about and told the internet. He tells a story of him.
That's so made up. It just sounds This is like everything else you've said so far I can go along with. There's like a little bit of truth, but like that sounds so made up that an intern at Nickelodeon found the lost episode.
He tells the story of himself back in 2005. And he talks about how the animators would come up with lewd titles to early previews. Like, for example, How Sex Doesn't Work. Or another title. Titles, I just imagine a bunch of guys, like a bunch of just guys coming up with just things like that. In this one, he was shown a title called Squidward Suicide. So after hearing all these titles or whatever, he was just like, okay, whatever. Let's watch it. So they start watching. And it's about the supporting character. So for people who haven't watched it or know anything about SpongeBob, in this one, Squidward is practicing for a concert because he plays clarinet. So what are we talking about here? So anyway, there's this squid that lives under the sea and he plays the clarinet. And he's practicing for a concert. Completely logical. I don't get what doesn't seem believable.
And then you have to cite the CD-ROM in your bibliography.
Anyway, so he's practicing or whatever, and as we're watching, images flash on the screen. It's just like a little glitch, like whatever. And one of the animators or whoever's there watching with him, they're like, that's weird. So they go back frame by frame, and one of the frames, there's just a picture of a dead child. Like dead, like mutilated. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, really bad. Anyway, the episode itself goes into when Squidward goes to a concert and he gets booed by the audience. And SpongeBob was there and he's also booing. Which if anybody has seen SpongeBob SquarePants, he wouldn't do that. Like the character...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So he thought something was really off. And as the story keeps going, another image kind of flashes. So they go back and they see another one. And by the way, these are very, they're described really, I don't say really well, but they're just described and not, detailed. Of just guts and just overall, just a bad thing. Anyway, yeah, the story just gets darker from there with actual Squidward's death with a shotgun. Yeah.
There's no way they could get that far. They'd be like, oh, you mean you don't want this episode where Squidward, one of the main characters, kills himself with a shotgun? Oh, what do you mean?
It's like that wasn't part of the storyboard.
Yeah,
I thought
you wanted this episode. We spent all this time. We spent months animating it. You don't want it? You don't want the spliced child mutilation stuff in here? What do you mean you don't want it?
So the story keeps going where like one of the managers or one of the head people from there, the lead animators or whatever, contacted and they're like, hey, here's this thing. So he's obviously pissed and he's who did this and they try to find it. Anyway, the story develops into that. That's the creepypasta. But when you read that post or whatever, you're like, wow. I think that's what makes it cool because it could be real, but really it won't be. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, what a creepy work environment if that's real. If someone could get that far and animate something that weird, that is not a healthy work environment.
Nope. I agree.
Which is scarier than the creepypasta.
That's terrible.
Work environment.
Super bad. Those types of things, it's like you would go to school and you would, like in real life, right? You would go to school and people would be talking about, hey, have you heard of Squidward Suicide? It's no. And you're not cool if you don't. So obviously you go read it and then you're traumatized by it and then you can talk about it and you can keep spreading the word.
That's fair.
So, yeah. That was guilty. I was guilty of something like that. But peer pressure, man, they'll get you. At least it wasn't cigarettes or anything like that. But
it was just childhood trauma. That's all. Not cigarettes, but childhood trauma.
Number 3. The Black-Eyed Children.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, Nobody knows what these things are. Have we talked about that? It feels like we've talked about all these things.
We did because they were, I think we mentioned it in the Pike Place Market episode because there's a lot of ghost children at the Pike Place Market.
Okay, so these things, they resemble children between 5 and they go into their early teens. They have pale skin and black eyes. Completely black, by the way. Like, not the white part is black. And they come up to people's homes. So they go, they knock, you open, and they're there.
Nope.
Yeah.
Thank God I'd never open the door for anything or anyone.
The story spread around the internet, but tabloids of encounters with them have been around since the 80s. And people claim to have witnessed or had encounters with them where they go pull up to a group of children and they all have black eyes. Ghost hunters have claimed to see them, but still there's no definitive. Okay, these are going to get a little bit...
I don't know why, but that just gave me the chills. The black-eyed children just got me for some reason. And I
just
don't
imagine
know.
it.
Well, you're pulling up and you're just like, what would be weirder is if you're pulling up to a group of children and most of them are normal, but one has black eyes in the background.
I think it's creepy enough to go pull up to a group of children, though.
That's true.
Hey, kids.
Are you the actual creep in that scenario? That one black-eyed child ghost be like normal, being like, what are you doing, creepo? We don't want your candy.
The actual good thing, trying to stop creepers like you to pull up to a group of children.
Exactly. And in fact, you learn that lesson quickly, is that you stop doing that because you will just pull up to a group of black-eyed ghost children.
It's a cautionary tale for adults.
Yeah, that's what it's always been. Don't be a creeper.
Stay away from children, guys.
Stay away from children. There's no reason to ask them for help or talk to them at all. Don't approach children. They'll just be ghosts.
I've never thought of it that way, but...
Look, every day you learn something. That's what life is about.
Number 2. The Blind Maiden. Now, this is an internet game. Basically, it's a website that's down most of the time, so you don't pay your hosting or whatever. It's just down. It's a dead website. But on moonless nights, right at midnight, if you just hit refresh...
A website that is in the cycles of the moon.
And you have to have all the lights off, too. So it won't... I don't know. It won't work. Otherwise, you need to have the lights off in your home.
Yeah, the moon has to be full. The lights have to be off. And then your internet will work.
Correct. Now, once you're there, you'll see pictures of eyeless children.
Again, huh?
Flashing in front of you.
Ugh.
And then there's a warning not to click anything by accident. Plus, there's a lot of warnings there. Are you sure you want to go into this website? Just click no for safety, and we'll send you right back to, I don't know, clubpenguin.com or whatever.
I like to look at penguins at night.
I was referring to the Disney shows for sure. Go look at pictures of penguins at midnight.
You're into penguins at midnight in the dark.
In the dark. Club Penguin, I think, is owned by Disney. It's like this. I don't know if it's still alive.
I don't know what it is.
It's like a game. But anyway, as you're looking at the website, like this silhouette that's moving in the background, it's just kind of moving. And then it starts coming up to you. And it's the Blind Maiden. Now, I saved a hyperlink on here. And I was saving it so that I could actually type it in now. The Blind Maiden. Seeing if anything happens. It should be not working because it's not midnight. And it's not working. Failed experiment.
Oh, wait. What does the Blind Maiden do?
Nothing. There's nothing there. Oh, supposedly she's supposed to come out and take your eyes out. And just basically...
Way to bury the lead, Edwin.
Yeah, she's supposed to kill you. So don't do it. Don't go to the website at midnight on a moonless night with the lights out. Chances of that happening by accident are quite low. But
not zero.
Number 1. Mr. Bear.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
There's this. No, this one gives me chills. Like, it's the story of a TV show. It's called Mr. Bear's Cellar. Now, this show, calling it a show might be a little overboard because it's literally a guy in his cellar recording himself, and it's like really low res. It's just, and he's in a bear suit. Like, he looks like
would this have been on like public access? Is that what it's supposed to?
It's supposed to be like. It's a good thing you asked because this is supposed to be like one of those low independence. Here's a show that's airing, but it shouldn't be airing. That's what the story's supposed to be about. Like a show like that.
Like it would have been on a local network or something.
Yeah, like that, or like internet transmission. Again, these are all stories that are like, oh, by the way, this is what used to happen, but really, they're written or they're just legends. Did this show really exist? Is it on a VHS somewhere? We don't know. So the filming was really bad. It was basically the dude's just there, and he's singing all these songs about vitamin C. He likes to play chess. He likes to go camping. There's kids in the show. Imagine like a Barney thing, which used to creep people out. We should have used that for childhood fears because at one point I was creeped out by Barney.
You were?
Like because I have a creepypasta that I read about Barney. Anyway, he liked to drink orange juice. Like, he was just one of those bears, like a friendly bear. Anyway, so he's chill, happy most of the time. But if kids, during the recordings, if they try to leave the cellar, he gets upset. If they don't do what he's saying, he gets angry. He's one of those, you want to see on their good side. Anyway, as the story goes on, you discover that he's a Satanist or a cultist who has actually kidnapped the children and then sacrifices them.
What?
And yeah, the orange juice is actually a type of drug to keep them sedated.
Huh.
Those are the things that shaped my childhood.
Wait. So is it all one episode where you discover that the kids are like...
No, it's like, basically, okay, when I first read this creepypasta, it starts talking about it as, actually there's variations of it too, of people who were auditioning to go to the show. Or there might be variations of us. They were making up stories similar to this one, where these kids are auditioning to go on this show, but the parents are like, I don't know about this. But really it turns out to be a child molester. In this story, he's just going through, like, the person who's writing it, just going through different episodes that he's seen. Like, he would think that it's weird that it turns on his TV and it's there, and he would watch it, and this is really weird. And just talking about what it's like what it's about, like that, and that type of narration, which I love. Obviously, it's the type of thing that nowadays I want to do, like, with such a... I wish I could have a story that would spread like that, but again, back then, it was a lot different. Like, people believe things in a different way back then. So it was so easy to spread chain letters and stuff. Now it's, nah, you're lying. Anyway, that's the official list of Scary Mystery Surprise Top 10 Early Scary Internet Legends of All Time of 2023. Stay away from the internet, you guys. Only listen to Scary Mystery Surprise, and that's all. We'll take care of the internet.
Honestly, out of all of those stories, the one I can't get over is Squidward's suicide. Like, that I'm, like, traumatized by. But also, I know it's so fake because no fucking intern is, like, writing an expose on a secret episode. No episode that's that fucked is getting made.
Yeah.
It would take too much effort and too much money. But still, it's so disturbing.
Yeah, and by the way, if you do want to read it, you can just look it up like that. Squidward's suicide and creepypasta and search for it. You're going to read it. It gets a lot. I don't think you should read it, Michelle.
I don't need to go any deeper than that. Because also, it just makes me mad because I'm so industry adjacent. I'm like, there's no way they'd spend money on a practical joke. There's just no way. Maybe the script would get written as a joke, but there's no way they'd animate it and get the voice actors in there. You're paying the voice actors to come in? No fucking way.
Yeah, they would, yeah, just to make joke thing.
No, a really graphic, scary joke thing. That's like all the Disney films that, like, have weird, like when people are like, oh, SEX is written in the sky when Mufasa sits down or whatever.
It's like, what's the point? What's the point of that? The illustrator is just, yeah, you know what would be so funny?
Yeah, this'll get him. This'll get him.
Sex. It's like, what? It's like, good job. We're going to hire you again for this next one.
Great.
I know that I always take a little bit darker than what we plan. Michelle.
Like I said, Squidward's suicide was the most traumatic one for me, I think.
Anyway, I'm interested in knowing what the audience, what their first experiences with the internet were. I'm very curious because I experienced it at a certain point, like a certain stage of my life, so it was very different. If you experienced it when you were older or younger, I'm curious, like, what was it like? Was it on a phone? I want to know about your first time, you guys. Tell me all about it. I want to know where you were. I want to know what device you used.
You're walking a line. You are walking a line. But yeah, what was your scariest experience on your new internet, on the new thing that we called the internet? Tell us that.
Thank you, Michelle. You saved me.
No problem. I knew where you were trying to go, but you weren't quite getting there.
And this is why I need scripts, Michelle.
I get it now.
Anyway, yeah, so let us know. I'm interested. I want to know. So what did you think of the list? Was I off? Were there creepier things that I missed?
Fill us in.
Or add your own. I want to know. What did I miss on here? I'm pretty sure I missed something.
What are we going to talk about next week, Edwin?
I don't know. Guess it'll be a surprise.
Bye.
See ya.